Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Tonight we find ourselves at that little 10-turn, 2-mile track just outside of Washington, D.C., a circuit that may not have ever hosted a Grand Prix, but each year hosts SCCA Pro, the FRP 1600 and F2000 Championship Series, and has served as home for the longest-running amateur road racing series, the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series, for over 40 years. It's seen its share of amateur racing luminaries such as national champions Paul Newman, Randy Canfield, and Rob Hines attack the 100-plus mile-per-hour chute, and it's given others, such as 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson and noted road racer Tom Cruise, fits. This week we head to my home away from home, a place where some of the newest real-life racers, including some who are here racing with us tonight, where they have earned the competition licenses this weekend at Summit Point Raceway. Welcome to week number 8 of the Ray Esports Racing League's winter season, brought to you by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Grass Paddock Motorsports here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg with DJ Clark in the announce booth and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production trailer tonight. And for those of you joining us for the first time, I'll say it again, where have you been? But we've got 9 weeks of action during our regular season across 4 classes: Spec Racer Ford, Spec Miata, and new for this season, 2 touring car classes featuring the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup cars, as well as the brand new to the platform Toyota GR86 Cup cars in the other. And each of our 4 classes, they race 6 times over the course of the regular season. On tap tonight are going to be 2 20-minute sprint races. First up, and you can see them here on track as we're about 6 minutes into qualifying right now. It's going to be our Spec Miatas. They are going to be fighting in their 5th race of this season, and then they're going to be followed by the Spec Racer Fords battling it out for their 6th and final race of the regular season. And if you're looking for some of that touring car action, join us next week for the regular season finale at beautiful Virginia International Raceway. And so good evening, DJ, and welcome to my neck of the woods. And you know, all I can say is such a huge contrast between little old Summit Point and Watkins Glen International, where we were last week.
Yeah, certainly are very different circuits that we go to, but Summit Point has its wonderful little charm to it. Plenty of opportunity to overtake here in the MX-5s or in the Spec Racer Fords. This may be a little bit of a hidden out of the way sort of track here, Greg, but it is certainly quickly becoming one of my favorites here on the iRacing service, in a little part thanks to this turn one. Look for that to be your main overtaking zone as we watch the number 42 there of Spallman work his way down through.
All right, so let's do this, DJ. We've got, and oddly enough, he just went to the top of the leaderboard on his 5th flying lap here in qualifying. Let's turn things over to Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 Mazda MX-5. He's that last car coming into turn one right now. He's put together, as he's done all season long, a track guide for us tonight of Summit Point Raceway.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Burkhardt for Team Delta Sport US as we're coming out of turn 10 of the 2-mile-long 10-corner Summit Point Raceway, which is about 10 minutes from my house actually. It's coming across the start-finish line ever so slightly downhill down the run to turn 1. It's the best passing opportunity on the track in my opinion. You're going to look for the 3, hard on the brakes, going to look for kind of late apex, using all the track that's given to us. Just really run it out to the rumble strips here. Coming up through the gears, carry a good run out of the corner. Going to come middle of the track. You don't really need to follow the exit as it comes right back to you coming into turn 3. A very fast cambered corner uphill. You can't really see the exit, but you know it's got to be there. Using what we call the Miata line, just 2 in the dirt, can carry a little bit extra speed through the corner. Down through the chute, very difficult corner. Going to try and just balance the car through it. Into turn 5, bit of a throwaway corner. Going to come in track left because if you sacrifice for it, you'll be slow through 5. And then entering the carousel, turn 6. Keeping the car kind of center of track because it's got enough grip that you don't really need to wash out all the way. Coming really just flowing the corners together through 7 and then through 8. Making sure you get a late apex on all these corners, tracking out as much as we can, just letting the car kind of float through the corners coming under the bridge. Center of track cuts off a little bit of distance on the run up to turn 10. Very fast turn 10, very, very biting if you get it wrong. Using all of the rumble strip on the exit, and we have completed a lap of Summit Point Motorsports Park for Ray Esports in the Spec Racer Ford.
And thanks so much to Morgan Burkhardt, who in that minute and 38 seconds still is sitting atop the leaderboard, DJ, here in qualifying, as we're now just a little bit less than 10 minutes through this 15-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, and we continue to have, well, what has been the dominance up at the top of the charts with Burkhardt and Schooler. They're doing a great job. Want to give some love here to Forens Arabian. We haven't seen him around for a while. New name here coming on in, and the number 30 looking to maybe make a few heads turn here tonight.
Yeah, definitely known for his exploits in the Spec Racer Fords, longtime driver in another series under the Ray Esports family, the Weekend Warriors, and so good to see Forens out here. He is currently running 15th in the order in the number 15. In the number 30 machine. As we now have a new provisional pole sitter, DJ, is Giancarlo Schooler just now goes to the top of the leaderboard in the 111 machine. I believe he is another one of those. I believe he's one of the Delta Sport teammates of Morgan Burkhardt. I know that they are probably sitting in the Discord chat right now talking about this, but he turns in a smoking 119.90, just about 8/800ths of a second clear of Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, very good run there for him, and he'll have to see if he can keep it up. He's not going to get the benefit of the draft, though, on this lap, but I think on that fast lap, he was able to set it by getting some good toe off of Beans Forster, but Beans right now getting the draft off of Giancarlo. Let's see if the 231's got a response here as he crosses over the stripe. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like either driver is going to improve that time by. Both of them running about 0.3 of a second off of their previous laps. All right, so let's do this, DJ, quickly. Let's take a look back, because it's been 2 weeks since we've seen the MX-5s. The Spec Miatas out on track. The last time they raced with us was for their 4th race of the season, and that was at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where Morgan Burkhardt took the win, margin of victory over Giancarlo Schooler 7/10 of a second, with Beans Forster finishing on the last step of the podium. We had Josh Justice in the number 99 machine come home in 4th, with Caleb Patry finishing in 5th. And if I remember correctly with this one, we had 4 cars all fighting to get over the line, bumping and banging as they came out of turn 12, and a couple of them actually ended up with drive-through penalties assigned, or a couple seconds, because they couldn't serve the drive-through. I think 10 seconds assigned to them as they were coming through the final corner, which bumped them back in the order. So it was Justice 4th, Patry 5th, Deacon Greenfield part of that fight as well. And if we take a look at the championship standings, and I understand that we don't have our points graphics here this evening, I apologize for that. Morgan Burkhardt is currently your points leader coming into tonight's race. He has the tremendous, the huge, the momentous 1-point advantage right now over Giancarlo Schooler. So as Schooler takes to the pit lane here a couple minutes before the end of qualifying, this may be a real drag-out battle between those two drivers here tonight. Then we've got Beans Forster. Beans is 21 points in arrears of Giancarlo Schooler. So our champion from last season, quite a bit of a ways back, in 3rd right now. Deacon Greenfield 4th fastest. And we can see where Greenfield right now, where is he in the order? He is currently qualified 13th fastest. And then Andrew Wozencroft, who's currently qualified 9th. He is your 5th fastest driver. Or probably not your 5th fastest driver, but he is currently standing 5th in the championship. As I said, he's currently 9th fastest here in qualifying.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised here to see Wozencroft and Greenfield that far down in the order. It's not exactly the performance that I would have expected from them here today, but we'll have to see. This is a little bit of a wild card of a track, kind of a bit of a circuit, as that's going to be Wozencroft not setting a fast time there.
No, certainly not. And you know, we could see that as Greenfield was following him under the bridge and towards turn 10. When Wozencroft turned in for turn 10, the rear end of his car just stepped out the tiniest little bit and past the apex. He was in recovery mode even before that car exited the track surface. Knew that was going to get wiped out. As we take a look now at Murphy Nichols in the white number 5 machine, and appropriately enough right now, the 5th fastest driver in qualifying. Murphy is one of those drivers who was at Summit Point, at the real-life Summit Point this weekend, and when he left at the end of the weekend, he found himself with the new Sports Car Club of America competition license. So I want to welcome Murphy to real racing, and we'll see if he can put together some of the things that he learned this weekend, put them to use here at the virtual Summit Point, as he is currently sitting on track now. And is that right behind Burkhardt, I think, right now, as they're coming through turn 8 and 9 and heading up the hill? And looks like indeed Murphy Nichols, he's got a nice draft off of the number 40 machine, and if Murphy Nichols can use that to his advantage, he might be able to slip past Josh Soto and put himself onto the 2nd row. Let's see what happens as they come across the line.
Here he comes. Is that going to be good enough? Yes, it is. Up into row number 1 even there for Murphy Nichols. A great run, and only about 0.07 of a second off of your provisional pole sitter, Schooler.
Yeah, and if we take a look at that, Nichols with a better time using that draft than Morgan Burkhardt, who was pulling him around the course. Nichols with a 1:19.977. A full 400ths of, probably not, let's try that again, a 4,000ths of a second up on Morgan Burkhardt. So that's going to drop Burkhardt now back down to row number 2 as the clock has expired. The last flying laps here are going to count. We're on board with Megan Overstreet, who's currently sitting 11th in the order.
Not seeing any lot of improvement here for Megan. Going to cross over the line, and it looks like that lap not going to be an improvement there for the 044. So going to stay in 11th place here. I think we may have a few more drivers working their way around, but Megan's certainly one of the last to be able to complete a flying lap.
Yeah, indeed. And we're watching now Brad Gould another racer that we had here at Summit Point this weekend, racing in a Spec Racer Ford, which is the platform in iRacing that he chooses to, I think, probably to focus on. And I was going to say that Megan and Gould's going to be calling off that last flying lap. I was going to mention that Overstreet had been really focuses quite a bit more on the open wheel cars, and was I believe our inaugural winner of the brand new Ray Esports Racing Weekend Warriors Formula F or Formula Ford League that debuted this past weekend. And hopefully we'll see that on Apex Racing TV soon. So let's take a look at the starting order tonight here for our first of two races this evening. And DJ, I'll grab the first half or so here. Your pole sitter from Delta Sport Racing with a qualifying time of 1:19.90. It's Giancarlo Schooler. Murphy Nickel is going to start right next to him on the outside of row number 1, and you can see there only 73 hundredths off of that pole time. Morgan Burkhardt, our championship leader, will start in third tonight with Beans Forster from Team Watson Racing starting in fourth. Josh Soto will start fifth with Bob Kucera starting in sixth. Antonio Rice will start in seventh tonight with Nagase Yoshikawa starting on the outside of row number 4. Then we've got Andrew Wozencroft. He is going to start ninth this evening in the number 80 machine, while the orange and yellow number 124 machine, Louis Lockshine, is going to start on the outside of row number 5. Then we've got Megan Overstreet. She's going to start 11th tonight with Caleb Pocock starting in 12th. Then we've got Brad Gould, Seth Spolman's going to start 13th with Brad Gould 14th. Deacon Greenfield will start 15th, and Florence Arabian will start 16th. That is your top 8 rows.
And starting off 17th, it'll be Sean Hayes with Ray Blethen to his outside. Behind them, Skip Brock Jr. and Joshua Justice. Then in the row behind them, it's Justin Huffman and Charlie Vaccaro with Felix Moriarty in 23rd and Andrew Bennett in 24th. 25th position looks like it's going to be Wayne Buttermore as we continue to scroll down through there. Excuse me, it's Trenton Kramer, then Wayne Buttermore, then it's going to be Joaquin Effinger, followed by Rich Green, Jeremy Shepard, and Mark Sherman in the penultimate row, with Joe Camilleri and Travis Trussell to round out your 32-car grid of MX-5s.
And we're going to definitely have to watch out for Travis Trussell. He is known for starting at the back of the pack and just picking people off. Last season when we were here, he was our hard charger in the MX-5s. All right, so let's quickly, as we're on the pace lap here, and the pace car bringing the field now down through the chute, down towards turn number 4, talk about tonight's sponsor, and that is Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission, and that is to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything this hobby has to offer, whether it be 1,000 horsepower track monsters or cool street cars built in driveways. They also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars because hands-on technical articles aren't typed behind a desk, they're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read but become part of the story, head over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. All right, DJ, so we've got the pace car now bringing the field up out of turn number 8, underneath the bridge. And in just a few moments, we're going to see it make that hard right turn back into the pits. And there it goes, and we'll see if the group here lines up. We can already see Antonio Rice kind of cheating to the inside a little bit. Our racers have been told that they should not be making passes until they get to the start-finish line, as they are now starting to form up a little bit better here, and they're going to come over that little crest of the hill. The front rows can see the flag, the rear rows can't, but the flag is now in the air, and we are racing here at beautiful Summit Point Raceway. Giancarlo Schooler, he's on the inside. We've got Murphy Nichols in the number 5 to the outside. Both rows, as you would expect, almost a dead heat coming down into turn 1, and it is Giancarlo Schooler, because he's got that shorter lane. He's got the point. Then he moves all the way over to driver's right, or probably driver's left, to cover Murphy Nichols, with Morgan Burkhardt sitting in third. and Burkhardt and Schooler are going to go side by side through 3 with Burkhardt off in the grass. He recovers, but we do have, it looks like, some cars that have gone off over by turn 3, and they're still going off there, DJ, off into the wall.
Yeah, I saw Spolman being one of the drivers involved. He's fallen down through the order. Multiple drivers coming down through Wagon Bend, and that's one of those danger areas that we were a little bit worried about. We take a look right now. That's Charlie Vaccaro, who's got some trouble. Meanwhile, back up at the front of the field, Burkhardt has been able to get by Schooler, and, well, we're seeing what we've seen so many times in this MX-5 series. Those two Delta Sport drivers running away.
And look at how loose the number 40 of Burkhardt is coming out of turn 8 and coming up the hill. A place that normally doesn't put a lot of load on these cars. DJ, when you've got the cold tires and you're pushing hard early, we could see the rear end walking around. Tell you what, let's take a look and see exactly what happened over at turn 3. We saw a lot of smoke in the air. And maybe we can find out what happens as they make the run out of 2, heading now over to 3. Oh, we've got a drop of the wheel going into turn number 3, and was that Florence Arabian that maybe went off there? I think early, and you can see Vaccaro caught up. Yeah, I think Vaccaro, as you mentioned, Seth Spolman got caught up in that. I think Ray Blethen got caught up in it as well.
Yeah, it looked like just a lot of drivers that got caught out there. As look at this gaggle up at the front of the field here. Schooler and Burkhardt trading positions, opening up an opportunity here a little bit, it has to be said, for Murphy Nichols to try to fight back in. Let's go back and check out a little bit more of that replay, though. This is Charlie Vaccaro that we're going to check out here.
Here's the 21 machine. We'll see it. You know, at this point, he comes through the corner. He goes over to try and avoid, and I think, as most people know, here on iRacing, when you get into the grass, it might as well be ice. And he actually had that 221 machine, DJ, fairly well under control, but had cars come and cut across him. As we're seeing now, a couple drivers not so much in control, coming onto the front straight and pulling over. You'll see pulling over all the way to driver's right. That's that Spolman, who had just come out of the pits just as our leaders were coming up. He decided to pull over and get out of the way.
Yeah, and that was Joshua Soto there that you saw. Josh having just an absolute hard time keeping the car pointed the right way. Got a little bit of the grass on the outside coming through Paddock Bend, and that sent him around. Burkhardt and Schooler, though, duking out for this lead, and it's really allowing for Nichols to close back in. We've got somebody else around in the back. That's Wayne Buttermore.
Yeah, Buttermore having issues over at turns 1 and 2, and he's finding the approach and escape angles of a Mazda MX-5 going over the berm over there. No, you know, they do Jeep training over at Summit Point Sports Park, but don't think he wanted to go four-wheel in there. As Burkhardt's leading him now through the carousel for the second time, and you know, you talked about some of the great opportunities for passing. Here, normally one of the very good opportunities is through turn 6, but we see so many of these cars going side by side, and now coming all the way down the inside, 3 wide now going into turn number 10. Josh Soto recovering from that last lap little incident there. He gets around Murphy Nichols, but DJ, when you're going 3 wide through the corner that takes you onto the longest straight of the racetrack, you know, oh, contact between Nichols and Soto. I mean, it only opens up and gives more opportunity for our leaders, Schooler and Burkhardt, to separate themselves from the rest of the field.
Yeah, exactly, and it looked like Murphy Nichols there caught a big heaping of oversteer coming through turn 1, was able to catch the car a little bit and get that pointed the right way. We're going to take a look a little farther back down right now, as there's still good battles happening out. This is Andrew Rosencroft as he tries to work on Antonio Rice up ahead of him.
Yeah, so Rosencroft started 9th. He still finds himself in 9th, and he's right in the middle of a huge pack. Basically, we've got, I think, 13 cars right now here in a train. Let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 cars, all battling it out for second place right now. As we see Murphy Nichols once again side by side coming through turn 6, this time with Bob Kucera as well as Yoshikawa. And the purple and black number 98 machine of Yoshikawa gets around both Soto and Murphy Nichols. Nichols, who started off on the outside of the front row, now finds himself back in 7th position. And not a question of poor driving or anything along those lines. It's just that the competition's been that tough.
We're going to take a look a little farther back down in the field here. This is a driver who's having the reverse fortune there of Murphy Nichols. Deacon Greenfield on a good charge, getting his way on by Pocock right now. Tried to take a little bit of a look down to the inside of Megan Overstreet, but Megan able to carry enough speed around the outside there of turn 1 to be able to prevent any of that to go. We take a look on board with the number 36. Let's see how he's going to handle Wagon Bend here at this point. You see a little bit of brake smoke up in front. This is such a tricky braking zone and such a tricky acceleration zone to get right. But I'll tell you what, Deacon nailed that, and he's now looking on the back here of Overstreet.
Yeah, and you know, for Deacon, who has been now racing in real life at Summit Point Raceway, he's got to kind of and he just brought his new race car out this past weekend to get some seat time. Oh, as we've got the 48 machine of Kucera, who had been as high as 4th position. He goes off now over at turn 5. It's going to be a long way for him back to the track. But I was going to say, for Deacon Greenfield, who even was just last week with his brand new race car at Summit Point, having to put 2 and 2 together, trying to see the differences between the 2007 Summit Point that is here in iRacing versus the 2023 Summit Point, and that approach into turn 3, the braking zone and the entrance to the corner very different than it is today in real life, as we've got now going down side by side in the 1. It's Schooler and it's Burkhardt, and look at this, DJ. Beans Forster now has worked his way up, used the draft, and he's right in the thick of this battle for the lead as well.
Yeah, it's a 3-way fight here between these 3 major competitors, Burkhardt, Schooler, and Forster, running in single file order. Little bit of a slip of oversteer there from Morgan Burkhardt. I thought Giancarlo was going to try to take advantage, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Coming down into the chute there, they're going to go too wide into the heavy braking zone.
And this is where Burkhardt might have the opportunity to push Schooler a little wide. If anything, he had enough clearance of him already that didn't affect Schooler all that much, nor did Beans Forster have much effect on the 111 car. And so Schooler slots back into second place as our leaders are starting to come up on some slower traffic, starting to come up on I believe Buttermore, who had those issues just a little while ago. But while those 3 drivers were all fighting tooth and nail through the carousel, DJ, we see that battle right now for 4th inching somewhat closer at this point, as Soto and Murphy Nichols starting to run fairly similar times to our 3 leaders.
Yeah, but the one problem here that Murphy's going to have is look at the front end of that number 5. That is very, very beat up. Now, I don't think he's going to have any suspension damage, and thankfully these cars are not exactly aero-dependent, but that could still mess up the handling a little bit, and it could make things a little bit more difficult here for Murphy to get his way forward. So I frankly like what he's doing here at this point. Is that Soto getting it wrong coming up through Wagon Bend?
And Murphy Nichols, maybe with a little bit of target fixation, stayed right, trying to decide where Soto was going to go. He checked up, and we now have Nagase Yoshikawa, who now moves himself up into 4th position. Antonio Rice takes advantage of it as well in the 914 car. He moves up in the 5th. Andrew Wozencroft gets around Murphy Nichols as well. And Nichols, if he had maybe made a little bit of a break to driver's right, just a touch earlier, he might have been in better shape. Let's take a look and see where Soto got it wrong. And DJ, as we saw even on the first lap, it looks like Soto dropped the wheel driver's right on the entrance to 3.
Yep, that was just enough to be able to send that car spinning around, and he is unfortunately going to find himself in very rough position. But here we go, back for the battle for the lead. Burkhardt and Schooler going at it, and Beans trying to make it 3 wide.
And here we go as Forster now comes up the inside, is even with the 111 car, is by necessity the earliest on the brakes. And Schooler from the center lane, he now takes over the point. He is your new leader as we are just now halfway through this 20-minute esports racing race here from Summit Point Raceway. Great move by Giancarlo Schooler. He was just, you know, DJ, you could see there with that camera view, the brake lights for all 3 cars, and just by milliseconds later on the brakes was Giancarlo.
Yeah, it's just good spatial awareness here from these drivers. They know what the limits of their cars are. They're not going to push around it. But I will say, take a look there at Beans. He's got a little bit of front damage on that car as well. That could be affecting him a little bit. Doesn't look like it is too much there as we take a look out the back of Morgan Burkhart's second place machine. You can see they're just crumpled up there a little bit on the front. And, you know, we were talking a little bit before the broadcast, iRacing's new damage model here on these MX-5s in full display here today, and I wonder if that's a little bit of what we're seeing from that crinkle.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing, and where Beans, if he can stay tucked under the trunk of Morgan Burkhardt, that front end damage may not affect him all that much, but certainly if he moves out into the lead, it may be problematic for him as we now watch this second pack with Antonio Rice in the white number 914 machine, moving down to the inside of Nagase Yoshikawa, that purple and black number 98, and Andrew Wozencroft, who has now made up 3 positions. He's now sitting in 6th, having started 9th. These 3 drivers coming down into turn number 3, and you know, DJ, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be jockeying for position right now, but with Rice sitting in 4th position, maybe Yoshikawa and Wozencroft might want to hold off for a couple more laps, because as our top 3 continue to fight it out, this might be their best and last opportunity to get up to our leaders.
You read my mind with that, Greg. I really think we need to see Rice, Yoshikawa, and Wozencroft really work together here. If I'm sitting in Yoshikawa's position right now, I'm desperately trying to get a message over to Antonio Rice telling him, let's bump draft. Let's work together. Let these 3 up at the front absolutely duke it out. We can still be in this. We'll have to see if that's what plays out, but that's the strategy call that I would be making at this point in the race.
Yeah, and especially since we see those 3 have now picked up Murphy Nichols, Lewis Lockshine as well, and I believe Caleb Pocock a little bit further back there, as well as Megan Overstreet, that you know, we may have 5 cars. And now moving down to the inside is Andrew Wozencroft. He takes a quick little look, but I don't think he was anywhere near close enough to Yoshikawa to really do anything with it as we jump back to our leaders.
Yeah, and it looks like here that Schooler and Burkhardt have absolutely been duking this out side by side. That's actually going to be Schooler dipping a toe off into the gravel. 3 wide contact.
And coming down through the chute 3 wide, that almost never works. And we saw Giancarlo Schooler check up just a little bit, maybe breathe the throttle a little bit. That's going to put Beans Forster now into 2nd, but that was almost certain disaster for those 3 drivers as they came through turn number 4, the fastest turn. It looks deceiving, but that is indeed the fastest turn here at Summit Point Raceway. These MX-5s will typically be doing 110 to 115 miles an hour, and they almost all ended up in the tire wall. Drivers left as Morgan Burkhardt leads these 2 other drivers through turn 10, still awfully loose, but as we now break almost the 13-minute mark, we have 10 laps in the books here, and Beans Forster, he's not done.
No, certainly not done here at this point. Got to take a look down to the inside there of Burkhardt, trying to take that position away from him through turn 1. Not going to play out. Burkhardt's going to be able to cover him now coming up into Wagon Bend. And it looks like here that Beans is going to try to stick on that outside lane. And now that's going to open up a little bit of an opportunity here for Schooler to take the look. Oh, that was pretty from Giancarlo.
That was a very nice move, and it was all done as we go, and I think we're going to take a look at this. So here's one of the neat little tricks that we teach our students here at Summit Point, and both Burkhardt and also Schooler took advantage of it, that when you go down the center of the track coming out of turn 2 heading towards turn 3, you can knock about 7 car lengths off of the distance versus when you hug the far right side of the track. And Beans Forster, he traveled a much further distance than the 111 car. As Giancarlo is going for it at turn 10, this is not where I would recommend doing it, because this is going to open up a huge opportunity for Beans Forster to cut to the inside and maybe drive past the other 2 cars as It's deja vu all over again as they come 3 wide into turn 3, DJ, or into turn 1, DJ.
Yeah, here they go. Beans looked like he had a little bit more speed, but he gets onto the binders a little bit earlier. That's going to lose him a position to Schooler. He's still going to be in a side-by-side battle here with Burkhart. This is absolutely incredible stuff. And remember what we were talking about with Rice and Yoshikawa behind. They've stayed single file, and they've cut the gap by a full second here at this point.
That's right, as we now have about 4.5 minutes remaining in this race. That may give them the opportunity to get back up into this battle, as our top 3 seem very content with going through every single turn sequence here side by side. And we'll see if Nichols and Wozencroft decide to hold station there. As Beans Forster, rear end hanging all the way out. Can he manage to hold on to it and keep it off the grass? He does. Beans Forster now is going to fall back into 3rd position as Giancarlo Schooler takes over the point. Morgan Burkhart running in 2nd. As we said, Forster running in 3rd. And for a moment there, DJ, it was very close to lights out for Beans Forster as the rear end stepped out on that car, and he was just able to keep it out of the grass at turn 6B.
Just able to keep it out of the grass, but look at that, another full second cut out for Rice as here we go 3 wide again. Now it's going to be Beans on the outside, Schooler down to the inside, and Burkhart coming up through the middle. It's going to once again be a battle of the late breakers. Beans late on the brakes, but Burkhart the latest, and now Schooler looking for a little bit of a crossover through 1.
And that was a great move by Schooler as he moved all the way over driver's left as if he was going to follow Beans Forster in and out of turn number 1, but then tried to cut underneath and do the over-under on the 231 machine. They are still side by side, giving Burkhart maybe a small chance to breathe here as they come down through the chute. And as you mentioned, once again, that second pack knocking another full second out of the lead. The gap now, I believe, is about 1.3 seconds with Murphy Nichols in the white number 5 machine. He was your outside pole sitter. Now with the lead in that second group, then Yoshikawa, then Antonio Rice, as then Andrew Wozencroft and Lewis Lockshine. But they are definitely starting to close things down, and this could get very complicated on the last 2 laps.
Yeah, it certainly could here at this point. Yoshikawa trying to close in on the back of Nichols, but I think Nichols was able to take some good advantage of that last lap, and let's see what the outright raw pace that the number 5 has to try to push his way up into this equation. Now, there's about 2 minutes left to go in this race, and if my math is right here, that should be about 2 laps to go with the line here, but Burkhart and Forster not done fighting, and neither is Schooler.
And Schooler with the same move, opening up the corner, then shooting underneath the 231 machine. And once again, they're going to be side by side as once again Nichols knocking, well, actually, Nichols may have lost a little bit of ground to the lead group now. Is that second group now 2 full seconds back, and Nichols having a little trouble keeping it on the pavement as they come through turn number 3, as Forster and Schooler side by side into 5. Can Schooler and Schooler does get pushed a little wide, but he maintains position coming into 6, and he's going to slot in again in front of Beans Forster as once again Burkhart with maybe a 2-car length advantage, let's call it 3, his largest lead of the race.
Yeah, it's about 6.5 tenths of a second here at this point, and with them coming to the white flag, I think that Burkhart's going to be feeling relatively good. Now, the only question here is going to be how well is Giancarlo going to be able to handle this final corner? That's about as picture perfect as you want it to be, taking it to the absolute edge. Now, my question here is, what does Beans try to do? Is he going for the lead here, or does he want that second position away from Schooler? Let's see.
And Schooler now cutting right across the 231 as we are on the last lap here at Summit Point. Morgan Burkhart, that lead that he had, thank the draft in the MX-5s, it is now gone. And also gone Murphy Nichols as he goes off track coming through turn 2 on the very last lap. That's going to move Yoshikawa up into 4th, Rice in the 5th, Wozencroft in the 6th, Lockshine into 7th. As our leaders, Schooler, Burkhart, and Forster come down into turn 5, and Forster, a little love tap on the 111 machine. That little bump and run might be advantageous for him as Burkhart now takes to the grass. He's going to have to gather that car back up, but Morgan Burkhardt now a distant third as the 111 car is your leader. The 231 of Forster running in second as they come up the hill for the very last time.
Here they go. Is that 3.7 seconds or 0.37 seconds going to be enough here for Schooler to be able to hold this out? It's the run to the line.
And here they come down the front straight. Schooler moving slightly to the center. Forster trying to pull the draft off him, and it's not going to be in time, taking the win here in race number 1 tonight. Giancarlo Schooler beats Forster, will come home in second as Giancarlo heads to the skid pad. Morgan Burkhardt, our championship leader coming into the evening, had a 1-point advantage over Schooler, and I believe with the third place finish by Burkhardt, the win by Schooler, I think we might have a new championship leader going into the final round next week. Nagisa Yoshikawa, he makes up 4th position in tonight's race. He will finish 4th. Antonio Rice will finish in 5th. Andrew Wozencroft 6th. Lewis Lockshine will finish in 7th. Coming across the line in 8th will be Megan Overstreet. Caleb Pocock will finish 9th. Sean Hayes will finish in 10th. And let's take a look here. What did I say? That Travis Trussell might be our hard charger? Well, so Andrew Betta will finish in 11th place. He made up 13 positions. Travis Trussell, who started tailing Charlie in the field, finishes 17th tonight, but made up 15 positions. All right, so let's take a look here. We've got our podium finishers here, all 3 of them in the green room. DJ, should we bring them all in at once? Should we tempt fate, or shall we go one at a time?
I don't know. With that bump and run at the end, we may see some high emotions. I'm going to throw that one to you, Greg. That's above my pay grade.
All right, tell you what, let's bring them all in, if only for the entertainment factor here. Let's go. Giancarlo Schooler, the 111 machine. Beans Forster, the 231, and Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 machine. Giancarlo Schooler, your winner. Forster finishing 2nd, Burkhardt finishing 3rd.
Well, Giancarlo, we'll start with you. That was an action-packed race to the extreme. A little bit of bumping and banging, a little bit of fun all the way around, but that looked like it was a fantastic drive.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. I got to give my respect to both Morgan and Beans, respectively, because they both put on a great drive as well. And without those two, the show wouldn't have gone on. So shout out to those 2 guys. But yeah, it was a great race, and it was tons of fun.
Well, Beans, I want to ask you, coming down into the carousel on that last lap, it looked like there was a little bit of contact going in. You were able to recover it, but what was going through your head when that happened?
So with that little bit of contact, I knew I was just kind of trying to send it a little bit, and I saw them coming up closer to me a little bit too fast, so I just kind of stood on the pedal. It was the lightest of contacts too, so.
Well, lightest of contacts, and Morgan, it looked like you missed your shot there to be able to go run to the line, but still a great race for you to be able to hold on to 3rd. What was it like being able to battle with your teammate and Beans up there as well?
Oh, it was awesome. I think in the media world we call that a barnstormer. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, we're just trading back and forth, never really making contact other than just rubbing door mirrors, and it was a ton of fun. Super close, super clean racing.
I mean, it looked like it was an absolute blast from all the 3 of you. Did any of you guys have any fear about all of that battling, letting Nagisa or Antonio in 4th and 5th be able to catch up to you? I'll open that one to the room.
Not really. I mean, I was kind of just in it for the fun of it. I mean, you don't get too many races like this where we can go 3 wide into turn 1, multiple laps, and save it. So I was just in it to win it.
Absolutely love that from all 3 of you. We know you've got another race to get to. We won't hold you guys for longer, but starting with you, Giancarlo, anybody you want to thank?
Thank you guys for putting the show on. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. And then thanks to my friends and family. And then once again, Beans and Morgan for the great race.
Beans, what about you?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone here for the amazing racing that we put on. You guys for putting on a great show. And and my friends and family for letting me sit down and do this and encourage me to keep up with it.
Fantastic. Morgan, anything to add, my friend?
parents and grandparents for, you know, making all this possible. Major's Garage for helping out behind the scenes. Brian Force with Delta Sport for employing both myself and Giancarlo. And yeah, big thank you to them for helping us put on a good show for you guys.
Well, a big thank you to all three of you for putting on a fantastic show. I know Greg and I were both a little bit out of breath by the time that came around. But, folks, those are your podium finishers here. Giancarlo Schooler, Beans Forster, and Morgan Burkhardt.
All right, everybody, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back to Summit Point Raceway, we're going to have our second race of the evening, the Spec Racer Fords. And you are watching the winter season of the Esports Racing League here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Summit Point Raceway, part of the 2023 Ray Esports Racing League winter season. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with DJ Clark. And after that, I don't even know what to say about the about the way that MX-5 race turned out. Of course, we thought there'd be more fireworks in the interview room maybe than there were on track, but it was an amazing three-car battle for 20 minutes. And now we get to do it all again, DJ.
Yeah, we do. Add a little bit more downforce, add a little bit more horsepower, make these cars a little bit more ungainly, and you've got yourself Spec Racer Fords ready to tear around this circuit.
That's right, as these purpose-built race cars are now taking their way around, and the lap times that they run are actually fairly similar to the MX-5's. Morgan Burkhardt, who we just talked to a few moments ago, is your provisional pole sitter now 6 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session with a 118.2. So pretty darn close. Foreign Arabian, who we saw just a few minutes ago in the MX5 race, we kind of figured he'd be jumping into the Spec Racer Ford since this is his specialty. He moves up now to second in qualifying, 2/10 of a second off of Burkhardt. Murphy Nichols trying to get a little redemption off of his the end of that last race. Currently your third fastest driver, just 0.04 of a second off of Arabian's times in the number 5 machine.
Yeah, just trying to see what he's going to be able to do here at this point. Morgan going to get that nice little toe, but it's not really going to help him all that much as Murphy now, excuse me, that's Murphy Nichols. Whoa, but he gets it wrong under the braking zone down into 1, and that's going to send him spinning.
Yes, that is gonna obviously invalidate a lap there, and it most likely invalidated a lap for Deacon Greenfield, who's the driver that he got into the back of. As we're now on board with Antonio Rice coming out of turn 10 onto the front straight. He's currently 6th fastest. Let's see if he can improve as he crosses the start-finish line. Antonio Rice does not improve. Puts in a 119.69, not any better than the 118.75 that he had previously.
And not able to do it there. You see him pulling off to the side, but Foreign's here going to just continue going along. Not sure how quick he's going to be without the benefit of the draft, but we'll see what he's able to do. As you said, Morgan and Murphy both back down in pit lane. Ooh, Foreign's just taking it all the way to the edge of the track there through Wagon Bend, trying to maximize the speed here in the remaining time in this qualifying session.
Yeah, and you can see how that car is just on edge right now. As he's got it very well set up. Doesn't have a lot of lean in it, a lot of roll, but it seems to be able to turn in very, very well. Not a lot of understeer with it there. A little bit of a bobble coming through turn 7 and up through turn 8. Almost drops a wheel on the outside as he gets to see one of the racers counter race staring at him coming under the bridge. And let's see if he can improve, and then we'll take a look at some of our championship standings from our other classes here as he comes out of turn 10, makes his way onto the front straight. Can he beat a 118.37? More importantly, can he beat a 118.24? He does not. And talk about Mr. Consistency there. Turns in a 118.370, almost to the 1,000th what he ran on the previous lap. All right, so quickly here, as we are now just about 2/3 of the way through our Spec Racer Ford qualifying, let's take a look at the 2 touring car classes and where they stand coming into tonight. And of course, we'll see them next week for the final regular season outing at Virginia International Raceway. We're T3 class, which are the Toyota GR86 Cup cars. Josh Soto took his first win of the season, starting in 4th, and first across the checkered flag at Watkins Glen. Deacon Greenfield coming in 2nd, with Caleb Pocock rounding out the podium. John Wilson and Antonio Rice finishing in the top 5. And I think the big story was that Caleb Patry, who started on the outside of the front row, and Giancarlo Schooler, your pole sitter, both got together, both had issues 2 laps into the race. They fell back. Caleb Patry able to work his way back up into 8th. Giancarlo Schooler, who found his Toyota on its roof going down into the boot, only finishes in 14th position. And if we take a look at the championship, though, Giancarlo Schooler currently sitting back behind Caleb Patry. Patry with 118 points. That is all 30 points clear of Giancarlo Schooler right now, sitting 2nd in the championship. Murphy Nichols is 16 points back from there in 3rd. Then Andrew Wozencroft, Deacon Greenfield, your top 5. In the what we're calling Touring 4, which are the TDI Cup cars, the Jetta TDI Cup cars, Morgan Burkhardt, commanding win from pole at Watkins Glen, winning by 8.5 seconds over Matthew Snow. Beans Forster comes in 3rd with Skip Rock Jr. and Trenton Kramer. You're rounding out the top 5. Andrew Bennett, Jeff Andrews, Jacob Skilling, 6th, 7th, and 8th, with Joe Camilleri and Brian Prokoff rounding out the top 10. Burkhardt, currently your championship leader with 113 points. He's gone 5 for 5 here this, probably not 5 for 5. He has 3 wins, and it would be hard to go 5 for 5. I think given the number of races they have there, and given that he's only won 3 of the 5 races, Beans Forster taking one of those wins as well. But Burkhardt right now with an 18-point advantage over Forster. Matthew Snow, no, actually, I have to keep double checking myself, because Matthew Snow finished 3rd, but Michael Snow is currently third in the championship. He's 31 points back from Forster, then Trenton Kramer and Seth Spolman. Matthew Snow, who finished on the podium, currently 11th in the championship. All right, so what everybody's waiting for is the Spec Racer Fords, and I'm going to try and get this done quickly since we're running out of time here in qualifying. They also raced last week at Watkins Glen, and Burkhardt took the win there as well. Margin of victory over Beans Forster, and tell me if this doesn't sound like the race we just watched, DJ. Margin of victory, 37 thousandths. Josh Soto finishing in 3rd, 3/10 back from there, and Antonio Rice another 2/10 back from there. So your typical close race with drivers all using the draft coming out of the final corner at Watkins Glen, and just drag racing to the checkered flag about halfway down the front straight. Your championship leader with a 37-point advantage on the rest of the field is Morgan Burkhardt. Beans Forster 2nd in the championship right now. Megan Overstreet, she hasn't pulled a win yet, but she is sitting 3rd in the championship right now. She is 13 points back from Forster. Andrew Wozencroft, Spec Racer Ford racer from out California way. He is Wozencroft, not a Spec Racer Ford racer. He's a Spec Miata racer. Wozencroft currently 4th in the championship. He's 2 points back from Overstreet. Josh Justice, who is a Spec Racer Ford racer, is currently sitting in 5th. And DJ, I think maybe adding to his toolbox. I happened to see Morgan Burkhardt on Friday in a real Spec Racer Ford at the real Summit Point this weekend in the wet, and boy does the boy have some fast hands.
All right, I love hearing that. A little bit of real-life crossover there for Morgan. Continues to just hold on to that top of the chart here, only by about 0.06 of a second, but that may all be he needs here today to be able to pull that out in the number 40.
And actually, I saw him wiggle through turn 1 and 2 just like that in the wet. But where these drivers now, with Antonio Rice moving up to the top of the order. Rice now with a 118.16. He is your new provisional pole sitter with less than a minute remaining. Morgan Burkhardt with that 118.24 that he set early on in the session, 2nd fastest. And let's see what happens with Florence Arabian here. Arabian, the lead car in this pair, in that in I guess the purple number 2 machine, and he is I'm sure he would rather be behind Antonio Rice right now, but lose too much time swapping those positions here. But this is going to be his last chance to work his way up from row number 2 to the front row.
Yeah, he's going to try to see what he can do there. Here is Yoshikawa. Here is back on Forens right now, as the checkered flag does fly here for qualifying. So this is going to be Forens' last shot to be able to get his way on. He's going to call it a day, though. He's going to come down into pit lane.
And so Florence Arabian, he is going to hold station there. And and it looks like Yoshikawa, who is the next closest driver on track, he calls off his last flying lap. So it looks like Arabian is going to be able to keep the car on row number 2 as we now watch. We didn't get him all the way to the skid pad there. Antonio Rice trying to make a quick exit to my friend Martin Burke's house, who is which is stationed right on the outside of turn number 1. All right, as we're now watching Murphy Nichols, and Nichols was trying to get in a final flying lap to try and move up from 6th fastest, not able to do so. Beans Forster, your 8th fastest driver, he calls that lap off. And It looks like most of our drivers now calling it a session. Justin Huffman, Megan Overstreet getting in there. Final flying laps, very close. The two of them only 1/100th of a second separating them. That will be row number 5 tonight. Very close running there as we are watching. And I don't believe that Mark Sherman is going to be able to get this lap in before the end of the session. We'll see if it counts, but I would greatly doubt it. Sherman currently qualified 19th in what is shaping up to be a 24, maybe 25 car field. We have Gary Winters, who has not set and did not set a lap here in qualifying, driving the number 02 machine.
And it looks like there, though, that Gary's not going to be able to set a lap down as we are officially checkered flagged here for our qualifying session, and the cars begin to line up on the grid.
All right, so our pole sitter for our second race, driving the number 914 machine. It's Antonio Rice with a pole qualifying time of 118.162, only 78 thousandths off Morgan Burkhardt, our current championship leader in Spec Racer Ford, here in the 6th and final race of the regular season here for the Spec Racers. Giancarlo Schooler, our winner from race number 1, he's going to start 3rd this evening with Florence Arabian starting in 4th. Nagase Yoshikawa will start 5th with Murphy Nichols starting on the outside of row number 3. Josh Soto will start in 7th with Beans Forster 8th. Megan Overstreet and Justin Huffman, and you see it there, only a couple thousandths of a second separating them. They will make up row number 5. Andrew Wozencroft will start 11th tonight with Josh Justice starting in 12th.
In 13th position, it's going to be Bradford Gould with Skip Brock Jr. to his outside, then Caleb Pocock and Charlie Vaccaro in 16th. Andrew Benna will be 17th with Deacon Greenfield to his outside. Mark Sherman and Seth Spolman will round out your top 20. Then it's going to be Wayne Buttermore and Joe Camilleri with Joaquin Affinger and Travis Trussell in the row behind them. And Gary Winters, we're not sure if he's going to be here, but it looks like he's on the grid, so he will start at the back of the pack.
There you go, and we'll see here, Travis Trussell going to be, we'll see if he can pull off the hard charger 2 races in a row as the pace car now is underway, and Antonio Rice leading the field down towards turn 1. And so with that, let's quickly talk about our sponsor for tonight's final race of the night, and it is, appropriately enough, Spec Racer Sports, and their mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing. And Spec Racer Sports delivers by providing the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair and competitive price, all with exceptional customer support. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch Houston, Spec Racer Sports offers exceptionally prepared Spec Racer Fords for rental as well as for sale. And in addition, they offer storage and support and also technical services such as chassis dyno work, driver coaching, and fabrication. Find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services by visiting www.specracersports.com. We get a great little view here, and it looks like they may have left some of the dust and dirt from the Miata race there on the track over by turn 3. DJ, hopefully on the start here, we'll see all of our drivers be able to keep those cars, all 4 wheels, on the pavement. Certainly the Spec Racer Fords have, I think, the same challenges on the opening laps here, and having to get some heat in the tires. Obviously, with the engines being at the rear of the car, a little more weight back there, and at the very rear, definitely not a mid-engine design. You know, if the tires are cold, if they overdrive the car in those first couple corners, definitely the opportunity for maybe a little mayhem on the opening lap.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to have to watch out coming down into Wagon Bend, and they're going to have to watch out being too aggressive on that right-hand turn coming down through turn 1. Got to be very, very careful about that. Hopefully by the time they get to the chute, everything will be nice and warmed up, but even then, a lot of lateral load put through those tires, and if they are not perfectly at that temperature, drivers are going to find themselves in a little bit of problems here. So I think this first lap, it's all going to be about caution. Make sure you get to the end of the first lap, then let your elbows come out.
All right, pace car is on the pit lane. Antonio Rice has the field now. He is on the inside front row. Morgan Burkhardt on the outside as we wait for the green flag, and there it is. Green flag is in the air. Our drivers have been instructed they can't make a pass until they get past that start-finish line, and we now see a couple of drivers maybe making moves to the inside, including Giancarlo Schooler in the 111 machine. He slots right ahead of Morgan Burkhardt. Burkhardt's going to follow him through. That's moving Antonio Rice down to the inside, and he has already given up the lead, and he has given up second position now to Burkhardt as they file through single file through turn 3. Nagase Yoshikawa sitting in 4th, Josh Soto 5th. Florence Arabian loses 2 positions. He now finds himself back in 6th position as our drivers come under braking down into turn number 5. You can see there side by side means Forster taking a look to the inside on Murphy Nichols, cannot get around as Nichols had the preferred position going into turn number 6. So Forster's going to have to be content with 8th position currently as DJ, it looks like all of our drivers made it safely, not only through turn 3, but through the majority of the carousel as well here on lap number 1.
I was going to say, all of our warnings, they're kind of going to naught. Drivers really behaving themselves on that opening lap. Here's a little bit of side-by-side farther back down in the field. This is Deacon Greenfield fighting it there with Caleb Pocock and Skip Brock Jr. right now. Kind of a nice little trio as they go. A couple more bumps and dives out of the way in front of them as everybody tries to position themselves here on this second lap down into turn 1.
Yeah, and Greenfield with that attempted pass going into 10. Oh, and off into the dirt, into the gravel trap. It is Josh Soto as well as our pole sitter, Antonio Rice, going off as well. So we've got Schooler, Burkhardt in the lead. Ford's Arabian now moves up into 3rd position, having started in 4th. Murphy Nichols finds himself in 4th, and then Megan Overstreet, who's now made up 4 positions on the first lap. She is sitting in 5th as we're now on board with Andrew Wozencroft in the 80 machine, who obviously has some front end damage there to the body work. Thank you, new damage model in Spec Racer Ford. We can now see the chassis underneath the fiberglass, but that is definitely going to affect his aero.
Yeah, it's certainly going to affect his aero, and as we said, the aero a little bit more important here in these Spec Racer Fords than compared to the MX-5s. As we watch this move down in, this is Soto, the 07 there just locking up the brakes too late on the binders there, and that's going to be enough to send him and really send a couple of cars careening off into the outside as everybody tries to gain themselves back up. As we come back here into live pictures, look like we had another big go-around.
Yeah, big car, and I think that is Deacon Greenfield in the 36 machine, who has just now gone off at turn number 10. All right, let's take a look here as we're going to see exactly what happened to Wozencroft. There's the number 80 machine. This is on the previous lap coming down into turn 1. Of course, there was all that mayhem ahead, and as he comes through, he tries to tuck underneath. Oh, and that was, I think, the number 97 machine of Brad Gould, who just spent some time at the real life driver's school at some point this weekend. Rear end of the car comes around on him, nowhere for Wozencroft to go. And again, Wozencroft now running with without the help of that slanted front nose on his Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, he's doing his best modified impression out here today as we're going to jump back and check out another replay here. This is back at what happened to Deacon Greenfield. Now, this is down into the final corner here. Just touched the grass there on the outside. That was enough to spin him around. And, oh, big contact there. Nothing Deacon could do. He tried to lock it down and then gets stuck in those tire barriers.
Yeah, and I'm looking, and I'm trying to determine if that might have been Mark Sherman that he had contact with. You also noticed that that Justin Huffman was trying to recover. Huffman had gone off just before that group of cars had come through. We'll have to see who that is, and it looks like both Sherman as well as Caleb Pocock now, the 18 machine, the 88 machine, both in the pits.
Yeah, as now we've got a little bit of a battle here, looks like between Nichols and Yoshikawa, and that's going to be Nichols sending it down to the inside there of Wagon Bend. He's going to make that work, run it a little bit wide. Is that going to open up an opportunity here for Yoshikawa to fight back? No, but I'll tell you what it is going to do. That's going to let Beans Forrester look up to the inside through the chute.
All right, and so that now moves Beans Forster up into 5th position. Haven't started 8th here this evening, and it is as we watch Nichols, Forster, and Yoshikawa. Force Arabian currently running in 3rd position after having started on the outside of row number 2, not all that much further ahead. But look at this as Arabian just put in his fastest lap of the race and was almost a full second faster than Giancarlo Schooler. Schooler has lost touch with our leader, Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, it really has, but that's of no concern to these drivers a little bit farther back in the field. Antonio Rice making that car go through the movements here despite not having the front clip, and that's really creating a stack up here with Effinger, Huffman, Winters, Camilleri, and all these drivers have been in the wars here today. Another car spun around to the back. I think that's Camilleri.
Yeah, I think that was Joe Camilleri going around as well, as he now falls down through the field in the number 06 machine. Indeed it is. And Beans Forrester continues to challenge the number 5 machine of Murphy Nichols, looking for a mistake. You know, Murphy hasn't exactly been the most consistent driver this season, and I'm sure it's got to be in Forster's mind that if he can pressure the driver of the number 5 machine, he may have an opportunity to move up one more step, as we now see where Florence Arabian has gathered in the 111 machine of Schooler just ahead of that battle. That is the battle for second, as Morgan Burkhardt has now worked his way clear of that fight by almost 2 full seconds.
Yeah, he is really just putting in the good laps here at this point, and I think that could continue here as the race goes along, especially if we see a little bit of a battle here between Arabian and Schooler, as I anticipate it's shaking out to be here in the middle stages of this race. That's going to be music to the eyes of Burkhardt, but look at this from behind, almost a 3-way bump draft there. Beans giving a bump to Murphy Nichols, and Yoshikawa just kind of looking on in the background.
All right, and now we see as Arabian moves to the inside. Drivers right on the 111 car. They are side by side coming down into turn 3. And again, the 111 car running the slightly shorter distance. And he is now able to take back second position from the number 2 car. But all that while they were side by side going through turn 3, that allows Nichols, Forster, and Yoshikawa to close things down once again. And you can see the gap now only 2.5 car lengths separating our 3rd place driver from our 4th, 5th, and 6th place drivers.
Yeah, Murphy's really got a good move on here, and there you can see a little bit of damage to the front of Forence's car there. Just a little bit of a crinkle on the driver's left side of that machine, but that's not going to deter him from trying to make a move here around the outside of the final corner. Going to get the door shut by Giancarlo Schooler. Schooler's going to have his work cut out for him, trying to be able to hold that off in the draft.
All right, as they come down, and Arabian, you know, he took that quick look to the inside, but I think very quickly decided to slot back in. Oh, as Forens goes all the way to driver's right, drops a wheel down into the dirt. Schooler did not give him a lot of room on that run out of turn number 10. And now Arabian running very wide coming through turn number 2. He's going to have position coming into turn 3, but the question is whether he's got the pace there, as he had to scrub off a lot of speed through turns 1 and 2.
Was very, very nip and tuck there in between Arabian and Schooler, but I think they're still going to maintain, and it's going to be Schooler able to get the advantage. And look at that. Murphy Nichols says, thank you very much. I will go for that position now, as we've got a full 4-car battle for P2.
All right, and Nichols going the long way around turn number 5. Can he get underneath the number 2 machine? He does. Move Murphy Nichols now up into 3rd position. Again, looking for a little redemption after having started on the front row in our first race and having gone off on the very last lap. He is now your 2nd place runner, probably 3rd place runner behind Giancarlo Schooler. Forster gets around Arabian as well, so the multicolored 231 machine move him up into 4th. He started 8th tonight, so great run so far by Beans Forster, and that is going to shuffle Arabian now back into 5th. As Arabian, though, fighting back. He comes down the inside and see if he can do all alone what Forster and Nichols do. And Nichols going wide, and I wonder if he got a little bit of a tap there. Maybe Forster got on the brakes a touch too late for Murphy Nichols.
I think that's exactly what it was, Greg. I think that was a bump draft, and he just held onto the bump a little bit too long. And now Beans is going to find himself here behind Schooler right now. He's going to have a little bit of a look into the chute. I think we've got a replay coming to be able to check out exactly what happened, though.
All right, let's take a look here as they come down. A great angle here. We can see from the rear, Nichols, the car in the white car, all the way driver's left. Forster, the multicolor, right behind him. And, you know, I'm not so sure, DJ.
Yeah.
It looks like the 231 may have let out a little bit early, and Nichols maybe just got into the brakes, or maybe the brake bias was set not optimally and just had the rear end walk out on him.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. And apologies there to Beans for maybe throwing some shade on him. But, yeah, it just looked like Murphy made that error unto himself. Maybe didn't quite anticipate the speed that he was going to be coming with down into the corner. But now we've got to move here as Schooler's trying to make the move on Arabian.
And, you know, we should have known that this was going to happen after watching the first race, and maybe Arabian wasn't far enough up to see exactly how aggressive Giancarlo Schooler can be. He doesn't mind scrapping it out, going side by side. End of the race be damned, strategy be damned. He is looking for the here and the now, as the 111 car still side by side with the two. We'll see if Arabian decides to push the 111 car out wide coming through the chute. He doesn't, he can't. And Schooler now takes over second position for the moment as they come down now, tap and turn, going into sixth. Arabian's not done.
No, he's not. He's going to have that preferred line coming down through the carousel, but it's going to switch back over here to favor Schooler, but Schooler's going to back out of it. They're going to go back into single file order, and I've got to think here with everything that I've seen, this is going to be advantage back over to Giancarlo, as Beans is going to do exactly this, give a nice little bump draft to the back of that 111 machine and see if he can help him down the straightaway.
And here they come out of turn 10 using every last bit of those gator teeth. Arabian moves over, drivers right to defend, and we'll see how long it takes for Schooler to move over. Schooler's going to go right alongside the number 2. Forster does as well as they come under braking, and there's Murphy Nichols. Looks like he's recovered. That time there's a bump and run.
Yeah, that was a little bit of contact. Now, that was contact between Forens Arabian and Beans Forster, but everybody able to keep it together. And as you said, now Murphy Nichols back up into this equation as well. He's been able to get himself back by Nagase Yoshikawa, and he finds himself in 5th place, really in the catbird's position, looking in on this battle.
All right, as they come down, they roll down the hill here. Not quite as close as the last lap. They're all in line this time by. Coming into turn number 6 as Schooler grabs a whole bunch of curbing over at 6A. One of the taller curbs here at Summit Point. The second tallest one, well, it's that turn 7 one that he just popped over. All right, let's go jump a little bit further back, and we'll rejoin that battle in just a few moments here. But we're watching now Andrew Benna in the black number 71 machine. We got Josh Justice in the blue number 99. Of course, Justice racing a Spec Racer Ford in real life out in Texas. And then Charles Vaccaro in the 11 machine. Oh! Beans Forster. And Forster with problems at turn number 10. He now loses that lead pack, and that is going to turn that challenge back over to Murphy Nichols. Let's take a look, see what happened, DJ, as they came under the bridge and towards turn 10.
Yeah, here it is. Beans right in the center of your screen. Does he touch the outside grass? We've seen that issue plague a couple of drivers here today. He was just pushing with all his might and just a couple of millimeters over to the left, and that was all it took to send Beans spinning around. But we still are spoiled for riches here. Still a great battle up for P2.
Indeed, as we've got Arabian, he is still looking to find a way around the 111 machine. Murphy Nichols, as you said, recovered, got past Yoshikawa, sitting in 4th at the moment. The purple and black number 98 machine sitting in 5th. Great run a little bit further back. Skip Rock making up, started 14th. He's now sitting in 7th position. And of course, we always have to look at Travis Trussell, usually your hard charger. He has made up 10 positions so far, started 24th. He's now in 14th.
Yeah, doing a really good job to push his way through the field here at this point. Another good battle a little bit farther back. Oh, I think that's Skip Brock Jr. They may have had a little bit of an issue in front there. You can see some tire tracks off into the kitty litter. He's going to be able to hold on to 7th place right ahead of Beans Forrester. But this battle right now, Andrew Bennett, Josh Justice, good little fight.
Indeed, as they now come down the straightaway and into the braking zone. Does Justice, does Vaccaro move to the inside? No, neither one does. They're going to follow Andrew Bennett through as this battle continues on. But yeah, nice little fight. But they are, I think they're playing the long game, DJ. They're still trying to get up to that next pack, and maybe they can use Skip Rock Jr. as a bridge up to the next pack as we continue to watch this fight now for 2nd position. And as part of the fight, Murphy Nichols takes over the 3rd podium spot. He now moves up to 3rd, gets around Foreign Zarabian. Zarabian dropping back once again to 4th with Yoshikawa running tail end Charlie in this pack, running in 5th.
And the question here for Murphy is he's just got to keep this thing together. I think he's going to have a nice little bit of advantage here. Now, he's not going to have the benefit of that bump that we saw Beans giving him. I haven't really seen Foreigns being necessarily a driver to want to give that bump draft here. So he's going to have to do this a little bit of the old-fashioned way. But with about 4 minutes rather left to go in this race, that's plenty of time to catch down on Schooler. The gap's only 0.4 of a second. If Foreign Arabian doesn't fight him too hard, I certainly think we are going to see this go full elbows out.
All right, and we can see where Murphy Nichols made up 3 car lengths under the draft on the front straight. He is now only half a car length back from the 111 as they come down towards turn number 3. And you're right, I don't think Arabian is necessarily one to give the bump. Of course, he's already got some of the damage in the front there. I'm sure probably doesn't want to exacerbate it.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't want to do anything to cause any problems here. We're going to go back to check out a little bit of a replay. This is Joshua Justice trying to make a little bit of a move here, coming down into turn 1. Let's see what this was. Comes across, carries a little bit too much speed into the corner. Josh able to lock the car down, no damage there, and a nice catch for the 99.
Yeah, may have some front tires that are shaped like stop signs now, but otherwise no damage. But he is going to drop a number of positions. We now find Josh Justice sitting back in 12th position, where he started the evening. It's going to move Brad Gould from 12th up to 11th. As we take a look now, Charles Vaccaro going to make the move on Andrew Benna as they come under braking into turn number 10. And Benna, who had the benefit of a good run, didn't have to check up that much under braking when Vaccaro went by. He may now be able to retake that position. You know, again, I usually don't recommend making the pass in turn 10 itself. Usually want to come down and use the draft a little bit on exit and make the pass on the front straight. But now Vaccaro with a great over-under is Benna went a little bit wide, maybe a little hot into turn 1.
Yeah, looks like he did just a little bit. Vaccaro's going to be able to hold this out here. Good line coming up through there. The 221, though, of Vaccaro looks like he ran a little bit wide, and now Brad Gould is going to be right into this equation as well. So just like we saw up at the front of the field, whoa! Oh. Brad with a big send and getting it all wrong.
Oh, and that is going to affect as Wozencroft tried to, as Vaccaro tried to avoid, but yeah, Brad Gould going for the wild ride over through turn 5, and you know, if he plays his cards right, he can rejoin right over by turn 7. All right, here now getting the white flag. One more lap to go. Morgan Burkhardt making his last circuit, or did he get the white flag? It's going to be awfully close.
I think it's 2 to go here,
yeah,
Greg. I think they've got 2 more chances.
Yeah, I think you got it right. Oh, big lockup on the brakes is Giancarlo Schooler. Can Murphy Nichols slot underneath? He's got a nose up at this moment, but Giancarlo Schooler not backing down. He's got the inside line. You can see where Foreign Arabian, he doesn't know which horse to pick. He's just going to follow both of them through and hope he can split the difference, as does Nagase Yoshikawa. Schooler and Nichols still side by side coming down the hill and into turn number 5.
Yeah, here they go. A little bit of a wider run there from Schooler, maybe trying to prevent a little bit of a crossover maneuver from Murphy Nichols. That's going to play itself out, and he's going to be able to keep himself ahead as they will be charging to the white flag on this lap by. So that's going to really change the impetus here. I think if Murphy wants to get this second place position, he has got to nail the run coming out of this final corner and put massive pressure to the back of Schooler.
And here we go as they come through turn 10. Our leader, Morgan Burkhardt, this time, and you can see it, see the flagger there with the white flag. Morgan Burkhardt now getting the white flag, and we're on the last lap here at Summit Point Raceway. Side by side on the front straight, we've got Giancarlo Schooler to the inside. Murphy Nichols is trying to pinch him down as Florence Arabian goes around the outside, and wow, how deep was Giancarlo Schooler as Yoshikawa, who was at the tail end of this train, tried to take advantage on the last lap. And I was just amazed there as Arabian shot the gap and moved all the way to the lead. He just pushed the car too darn deep. Nichols, who maybe had a great opportunity there, earliest on the brakes, and as they come down the hill, it looks like danger averted, at least for the moment, for Giancarlo Schooler as he leads the field down through. He's currently sitting second overall.
Yeah, and he's going to be praying that this battle here between Yoshikawa and Nichols continues to rage on, because it's just going to be costing the two of them time. And now as they finally get themselves into single file order, he may have gotten his exact wish, but now Arabian looking like he's got a little bit of a run on Murphy Nichols. Could Murphy drop back to fifth? It's all to play for here in the final couple corners.
And here we go underneath the bridge. Slight tap of the brake going into turn number 10, and as they come out, Morgan Burkhardt will take the win in Spec Racer Ford. Let's see that second battle here. It is still Giancarlo Schooler, and he now has a 3-car length advantage as he crosses the line. Schooler will finish second. Yoshikawa holds off Murphy Nichols for third. Florence Arabian will come home in fourth. Then we've got probably Arabian in fifth. Megan Overstreet beating Beans Forster to the line. She will finish in sixth position. Forster, who was up in that lead pack early on, he finishes seventh. Skip Brock Jr. will finish in eighth. Andrew Ben, a good run for the 71 machine, will finish in ninth. Antonio Rice, who started on pole this evening, will finish in 10th position. Definitely not the race that he had hoped for.
Yeah, not the run that he would want. Neither is the run there for Wayne Buttermore. I think he would have been hoping for a little bit more here today. Also, Gary Winters here going to come across the line in 19th. Looks like the last driver to finish here on the lead lap.
Indeed, as Cale Pocock, Sherman, and Joe Camilleri finishing a lap down. And there's Justin Huffman, who had some challenges here this evening in tonight's race. As he finishes a little bit further back in the field. He finishes 15th tonight. All right, so let's take a look. We have our winner, Morgan Burkhardt, our second place finisher, Giancarlo Schooler, and our third place finisher, Yanagisa Yoshikawa. All three of them in the green room. I'm somewhat wary of tempting fate twice in one evening, DJ, so let's do this. Let's bring in Nagisa Yoshikawa. He finished third tonight in the Spec Racer Fords.
Nagisa, you had to fight for that one out there, and talk me through that last lap. Absolute brilliance to be able to make that move into turn one.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. I was really just waiting the whole race. I knew, I didn't really have like the right pace compared to all those guys. Figured it would just kind of come down to a battle at the end. I just kind of held back on turn one. Got a really good run. It would have been awesome if I'd cleared everyone, but just couldn't get past Giancarlo on the exit there. But managed to hang it around the outside in a couple corners and made up 2 spots on the last lap, so can't really complain about that.
Well, how much mental fortitude did it take for you then to be holding back that entire time? Because I know if it was me, I'd be one to make that move every pace and every step of the way.
No, I mean, to be honest, it was more just my pace wasn't, amazing. So some of it was just hanging on to the pack and waiting. And there was some opportunities where I could have made the move, but again, I didn't want to lose anyone from the pack, and wanted to keep the whole pack together and make sure I could make a move on near the end if I could. So yeah, it worked out good in the end, but really I didn't have amazing pace, so part of it was just sticking with everyone.
Well, you did a fantastic job, my friend. And is there anybody you'd like to thank for what was a very, very heady and fantastic drive?
Yeah, shout out to my team, obviously Team Watson Racing and Team Watson Racing Setups, and then also All Sports Racing as always. All those guys, every race day, we do great work. So yeah, and then just as always, big shout out to all the other drivers, kept it really clean, and the league for putting on a great show. You guys for putting on a great broadcast, and yeah, enjoyed it.
Well, we are more than happy to put it on when you guys have that good action for us. That was Nakase Yoshikawa, your third place finisher here today.
All right, let's now jump over and we are going to grab, let's see, who are we going to grab? Gosh, how much time do we have? Not a lot, because we've got Megan Overstreet sitting in the green room, and I know we haven't had a chance to talk to Megan this season. Should we bring her in for a few moments and get her feedback on the race?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Megan Overstreet finishing 6th tonight in Spec Racer Ford.
Megan, a good race there out for you, up 3 positions on the day. It looked like it was pretty much just a matter of being able to kind of piece your way through the field and hold everything together.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy race.
Well, I mean, talk to me about it a little bit. It looked like you had to get your elbows out a little bit early on, but it started to settle down for you a little bit once things got going.
Yeah, I was sweating in those first few laps when we were all over the place. I was like, I'm about to die here, I'm about to die there, oh, I'm about to die there. Then I actually went off track when I was in a good spot, but I saved the car multiple times, so I was able to keep going, and then I was pushing so incredibly hard to catch up to the peloton, but I could never catch up to them until the last lap.
Well, I mean, do you think you had anything for them if you were able to catch up to them?
Probably not, unless they had some kind of coming together that would have slowed them down. I would have probably had the momentum to sweep on by them.
Well, I wish we could have seen that from you, Megan, and I look forward to being able to see what you can put down a little bit later on in the season. But as for tonight, who makes this possible for you? Who do you want to thank?
Oh, everybody that puts this on. Y'all's broadcast, y'all do a fantastic job. Stevie for putting the league on, and all the sponsors that make this possible. We really appreciate having a place to actually race. And a shout out to my family for watching all these races.
Well, always got to thank the family, and thank you, Megan. Great run out there. That was Megan Overstreet, your 6th place finisher here today.
All right, and should mention, of course, coming into the evening, Megan was 3rd in the championship. We'll let you know next week, assuming we can get our graphics working, exactly where she stands here towards the end of the regular season. All right, so let's bring in now. We're going to bring in, because it worked so well the last time, DJ, let's bring in Giancarlo Schooler, finished 2nd tonight in Spec Racer Ford, and your winner, Morgan Burkhardt.
All right, Morgan Burkhardt, Giancarlo Schooler, a little bit of a different race there out for you this time. Morgan, I'll start with you. It looked like you had this one all to yourself.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weird start, kind of just going when Antonio did. We were able to separate out a little bit, and then I don't even know what happened after that. I remember getting around him, and then JC and I hooked up and we ran, and we swapped on the front straight, and then I think I surfed things and locked up a couple times and lost a bunch of time, and I was able to kind of just check out and run my own race, just pound laps and wait until check.
Well, I mean, is it hard sometimes to just kind of keep yourself focused like that? We saw so many drivers making mistakes out here. Any problems for you that we didn't catch?
I had one issue going into turn 1. I locked up the right rear tire and then the left front tire and then the right front tire at different times. It was kind of weird, but I locked up a little bit, lost, I don't know, 6 or 7 tenths, but other than that, it was kind of just, stay focused. It's good practice for mental fortitude. So it's pretty helpful to just go out and run laps and make sure that you're consistent and keep hitting your target time.
It certainly is, and you certainly did it well, but on the flip side of that, Giancarlo, you were in the wars out there in this one again. Giancarlo, you got a copy, my friend?
I think he is doing Discord things.
All right.
Yeah, and it looks
If
like
you pull him out and then pull him back in, I think.
Yeah, let's see what we can do. Oh, hey, we grabbed Murphy. Here, hold on a second. Sorry, Murphy, just a moment.
What?
There we go. Giancarlo, can you hear us now, my friend?
Yeah, no, his
No.
mic is broken.
All right, so we've got
It
some
does
mic
this
problems
sometimes.
there.
Yeah, let's
Yep.
do this. Let's ditch Giancarlo and tell you what. Let's bring Murphy Nichols in because he had a pretty wild night himself. Actually, he's had a pretty wild last couple days.
Yeah, indeed. Murphy, wild couple of days here. And the first thing I want to ask you is, how did some of the on-track experience contribute to your ability to race here tonight?
I mean, it was definitely a lot more useful. Definitely taught me a little bit more about like just keeping it consistent, keeping it clean. Obviously, I know race 1 didn't really go that well, but race 2 though, like I basically started coming in with a different mindset of like, especially this weekend, how I was renting a car. I basically had to keep telling myself it's not my car. So I'm gonna really start trying to use that mindset when it comes to sim racing as well, because it's like, yeah, you can hit that reset button and it'll reset anytime, but if I have that mindset going into real life, it doesn't really translate over that well. So if I start coming in with the mindset of like, if I race clean and consistent and not cause any sort of damage, at least no fault of my own, the pace and time will come. And obviously you guys saw that tonight, where I was trying to keep it clean and consistent and still keep myself up front because I knew that I had the pace. Learned a lot about this track in real life and like a lot of the turn-in points and braking markers, so it really helped translate over somewhat fairly easily into the sim, and sort of vice versa. Everything just kind of coexisted with each other and made it all really nice in the end.
Well, you certainly did a fantastic job to make it look pretty easy, and you had to get your elbows out there. You had to really fight for it out there, it looked like.
Yeah, it was especially in the closing laps. Like I was struggling a little bit to get clear of the cars in front. But I mean, Nagisa had a really good move going into turn 1. I honestly didn't even see him coming until he was already side by side. I was like, man, he pulled that through. All right. So basically became too wide up until the last couple corners, and then definitely getting the elbows out, trying to gain any sort of position or ground I can, and also sort of play it smart, like when it was good to make a move and when it wasn't. But in the end, 4th place, sure, it's one step off the podium, but it's definitely, for me at least, a decent result, so I'm more than happy with it.
As we turn our sights elsewhere, anybody you want to thank for tonight and for a good run?
You guys, first of all, for putting on a really good show as always. Morgan and JC for being an excellent pit crew for me, especially this weekend, helping me get in and out of the car. And a big shout out to Anthony Piselli for making it all possible and letting me use his car to begin with. And Matt Yip, for that matter, for both of them letting me use that legendary Honda Civic and let it roar around Summit another time at driver school this weekend.
Well, fantastic. Murphy, Morgan, thank you guys so much, and thanks for putting on a great show here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Murphy Nichols, Morgan Burkhardt, not quite Giancarlo Schooler, and Megan Overstreet here as we complete our second and final race of the evening. And so, DJ, let's take a look and see what we got coming up, because the season here, the winter season of the Esports Racing League, is winding down. This was week number 8 of 9 on the regular season. We're going to wrap up the season next week at the home of the 2023 SCCA National Championship Runoffs and so many other huge events. Virginia International Raceway, we're going to have the return of the touring cars, the Jetta TDI Cup cars and GR86 machines, as well as the MX-5s, as they will all have their 6th and final races of the evening. But the action doesn't stop next week. Make sure to join us in 2 weeks. That is Tuesday night, April 4th, where we are going to have our virtual runoffs at not Mazda Raceway, at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, where we'll have 3 25-minute races for you. We'll have those touring cars paired up. We'll have the Spec Racer Fords in a race, and we'll have the MX-5s as well. So for DJ Clark, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time from Virginia International Raceway. Have a wonderful week, everybody.